CFB.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside the Monday Maniac, Chris Allman.
Are you workshopping nicknames?
I'm workshopping nicknames.
That sounds like a wrestling name.
That's why I did it.
The Monday Maniac.
I mean, look, there's big wrestling news this weekend. You know, in that The Rock is apparently desperate enough to resuscitate his box office potential, that he's back. So I thought, you know.
Well, you stunned me for a second because I'm usually very well up on wrestling news.
Yeah.
I knew that he had come back and made an appearance on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's apparently going to do WrestleMania too.
Yeah, he's always going to try to get that payday. He's going to wrestle Roman Reigns. That's the plan.
Yeah. So here's the deal. And we're starting off not with college football, but look, here's the deal.
Just tuned in.
It's 25% into the season, and if you had 25% off, you would think that's a good deal on something.
Sure, yeah.
So you're going to, buy 3, get 1 free, kind of a good deal.
Yeah.
So on the inverse of that, this is time to maybe determine when teams hit the panic button. And The Rock has clearly hit the panic button on his career in that, at least a little bit, to which The Rock has to, in that he is now going back to move forward because his last couple of movies have not done well. I mean, it's phase 2 of the plan. Phase 1 was I'm going to go back and do the last Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah.
And phase 2 is I'm going to do wrestling again. And in order to promote that, I'm going to show up with Pat McAfee and Deion Sanders and hang out in Boulder, Colorado, a place where lots of wrestlers go.
But isn't The Rock one of those guys that he's impossible to be overexposed? Like, whenever I see The Rock, I'm like, oh, good, it's The Rock. He just makes everything better.
Yeah. Garrett disagrees with you. He does not like The Rock.
I can't stand him.
He does not like The Rock.
Well, that's something we're going to have to dig into at some point. Maybe not in this hour, but I'd really like to hear more about this.
Yeah.
That's fair. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, he's hitting a little bit of DEFCON 5 on his movie career. Like, just, let's make sure that nobody forgets that I did some good ones before Black Adam.
The Rock's always going to be a wrestler to me.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I've never seen any of his movies. I don't think
you're not waiting for his portrayal of Hamlet.
No,
that's going to redefine him as a
no. I seriously don't know that I've ever seen a Rock movie.
I've seen a lot of them,
which is probably weird to say.
They're enjoyable, particularly the early one, Rundown with Sean William Scott. The Rundown,
seen it,
quite a good movie.
And the one with Johnny Knoxville, I saw that one too.
Yeah,
that was
Walking
good.
Tall.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it was just him being The Rock.
You know who's not walking tall right now? Here's the transition. Alabama.
Yeah.
And that might have been the ugliest win in the history of Nick Saban's career, everywhere he's been.
Is that only because of who they had to barely beat?
No, they're in a rebuild there at USF. Alex Golesh comes in from Tennessee. Look, he put up 50 on Nick Saban as the offensive coordinator of Tennessee a year ago.
Yeah.
Almost beat him by scoring less than that this year, way less. But Nick Saban's in a spot where he does not have a quarterback who's going to be able to navigate them through the SEC in the way to which he is accustomed.
Yeah. Okay, when we talk about pressing the panic button, I'd like to tunnel into who are we talking about pressing the panic button? Is it Nick Saban? Is it crazy keyboard fan who perpetually seems to have their finger on the panic button? Is it Paul Feinbaum who won't know what to do?
Yeah, if Alabama's
not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Saban has so much capital built up that even a down year, there's never really a reason to hit the panic button for him unless you start hearing the rumblings that he's going back to the NFL. That might be the sign that, like,
I think for him, and I think the next place he goes to is fishing. Like, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Is play golf and fish and, just sit back and
be Nick Saban
and be wealthy.
Yeah.
So he's not going to push the panic button in the same way that everybody else would. But I do think Alabama fans are nervous because I think it's shown them, like, you get Ole Miss this week. That's a team that has 3 guys that you would trade for in a heartbeat right now.
Yeah.
Because Walker Howard, who's their, I believe, third-string quarterback, is a 5-star recruit that you probably want over the other 5-star recruits that you have. Then you have Spencer Sanders, who has experience at Oklahoma State, whose departure I didn't realize was going to be as big a deal as it was, even though I'm a bit of a guy who thinks if Spencer Sanders healthy, he can help you, but he's been so up and down. And then they have Jackson Dart, who's playing okay right now. He's playing pretty well right now and won the job out of camp for them. That's coming up this week. So there's no more, kind of messing around when it comes to their schedule. They have maybe the most delicate quarterback situation in their conference in that they don't know who their guy is and everybody else does.
Yeah, it does feel like it's going to be a week-to-week thing. Like, it doesn't feel like he's going to settle on someone the rest of the way. Coming out of that game, has he?
So they're going to work on all three are going to get reps.
Work out all three.
They're going to see who's the best. I think personally, just because of his athleticism, Jalen Milroe gives you the best chance to win. But clearly, they've got a plan with him that didn't involve him playing against USF, even when it got dire. Yeah. Because save for a couple of big plays that just happen to be Alabama has a better grade of athlete than USF does. Yeah. And mano a mano, they won. That game, I mean, that was bad news for Bama this last week. That was really bad news.
Does Bama fan hit the panic button in this run of dominance that they've been on? It will not surprise you to know I don't keep my finger on the pulse of Alabama fandom. I'm not on their message boards. Is the panic button always within reach for them, or have they felt pretty good about?
I think this is the only time they've feel like they need to break glass in kind of emergency because normal crisis for them is like, what do you mean you're at the Chateaubriand? I pay a lot of money to belong to this club. And if you bring me a 1984, I will throw it in your face, sir. That's normally their problems. That's their normal problems. Now because of the transfer portal. Yeah. Because it's not because of NIL. Because Alabama's NIL is as good as anybody's NIL. Yeah. And if you're the quarterback at Alabama and you're good, see Bryce Young, then money's going to come to you. Money's going to come to you. But the fact that, and this is across the board, we talked about this last week, in that, Alabama's still going to be a good team, but are they going to be a great team because you can't hoard anymore? Right. Yeah. So those things are, and they don't have they've got 4 quarterbacks, and I'm counting Jalen Hurts, even though he finished at Oklahoma, but he was their starter. Their last 4 starting quarterbacks are all starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and all kind of have the arrow pointed up, including Mac Jones, who I think with Bill O'Brien's gonna kind of rise here. If you watch the way he's played the last couple weeks, he's not really their biggest problem there in New England. So, Bryce Young was just the number 1 pick in the draft. Tua has been playing great. And then Jalen Hurts just came off a Super Bowl. And so that run has not only ended, but it has ended with a thud.
Yeah, screeching halt. Yeah. So let me ask you this. I don't want to be, maybe I do. I can be cynical human being and sports fan. And we may have talked about this once before, but it just seems like the college game is so geared to, if you have a really good quarterback, you're probably fine. Is that just what this is? They're not worse at any other position, right?
No, they are. They are, but
okay. Let me rephrase that. They're not bad at other positions. They're not as good or as deep, like you said, because of an inability to hoard. Now, they don't have a freak of nature wideout that's going to win the Heisman like they did in 2020. But I feel like if they just solve the quarterback issue, isn't everything just okay?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they could navigate it if they had, because Nick Saban's won with the talent that he's built around.
Sure, McCarron and McElroy were not set the world on fire guys.
No.
McCarron was better, I think, than people think, but that's
Brody Croyle. Yeah. Jacob Coker. None of those guys when they got their shot, and like nobody is talking about like,
Yeah.
you guys remember the Brody Croyle led the Chiefs to a big win? No, never happened. But the Alabama fans remember him well. He's in the free drinks club there, right? So, you run into Jacob Coker in a bar in Tuscaloosa, like, Jacob Coker, get your butt over here, buddy. Beers on me all night. National Championship 2014, 2015. Love you, man.
What a reduction of Bama fan.
No,
Maybe not to Garrett.
That was spot on in my take. I was just saying.
Garrett thought you were giving Bama fan too much credit.
Here's the thing. If I'm in a bar and Chris Winkie walks in,
And his grandkids?
even though he has way more money than I do, I'd be like, Winkie, you sit down right here. You and me, we're going to house some beers tonight. That's how it's going to be.
That's a fun game. Who would you max out your credit card for at the bar? That's a fun game.
I think we need to do that one day.
Okay.
Because it's one of those things like I met Bucky Richardson, former A&M quarterback, one time.
Okay.
And I was introduced to him by Dat Wynn. And so those two guys are in that for A&M fans.
Also, no disrespect to you. I think highly of you as a human and as a professional, but in that triumvirate, you, Dat Wynn, and Bucky Richardson, one of these things is not like the other.
Oh, it's absolutely true.
No disrespect
absolutely
to you.
True. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So, but no, Dat is like the nicest, like not the Bucky's not, I've only met him all the time, but I have a very good friendship with Dat Wynn and one of the nicest guys in the world. So he would be in that club, and there's been times where I've been places with him and then tried to see if somebody would, and Dat is so effusive. Like, no, please don't, not at all. I don't, I had my half a beer 2 hours ago. I'm good.
I'm good. I don't want to mess up a potential comeback.
I tried it because you guys wanted me to, but now I'm not,
Well, that would be a really fun game.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that one day.
Yeah, we'll do that one day.
Who would you max your credit card out for?
Yeah, to me in college sports, it's like there are a bunch of think about who's the dude from Northern Iowa? Ali Farouk-Manesh.
Oh, the guy that hit the three-pointer against Kansas.
Yeah.
Oh,
bringing him up, I'm hoping my wife is not even watching right now because she'll.
Oh, is Amanda a KU grad?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that about her.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do we have a dump button? Can we just dump that name?
No. So anyway, by the way, thanks to my friend Ryan, got me this cup, triple option.
Wow.
Yeah. And
No bidet? He couldn't spring and get you a bidet?
No. Although I sold him on that. He's got them all over his house now. We're actually going to see him. Here's the thing, big announcement, Chris, while we have it, before we go to that. Next week, on Thursday and Friday, Jack and I will be in Orlando. We're doing shows from Orlando, courtesy of Meridian Capital Homes and Ingenuity Air, who are local Orlando businesses for Baylor and UCF. We'll be at Burger U on Thursday from 2 to 3 local time. And then from 3 to 6 local time on Friday, we'll be at Bounce House Social. So,
wow.
Yeah. Got a big trip coming up.
Man, must be nice to be you guys.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, so that leads me into my next panic button, even though we'll get to Oklahoma State in a second. Baylor's got a panic button badly, in that I think fans thought maybe they would improve on last year and just kind of clear out.
Yeah.
But right now, the game they played against Long Island was, again, it's one of those things where even though you got to win, it's like, well, that should have been way better than that. And Long Island was in the game for way too long.
Yeah. Can we just blanket? I mean, outside of Texas and OU, can't you just kind of blanket the whole Big 12, maybe pressing the panic button a little bit?
I wouldn't say yes on UCF just yet. And I think Cincinnati's actually thrilled they're doing well. West Virginia came out. They've just won the backyard brawl, but they've been in panic mode because they haven't been good for a while.
Yeah.
So they haven't unleashed it. But Houston, I'm sure, just absolutely slamming it right now.
Yeah. I'm more thinking maybe Brett Yormark, because I'm sure his ideal situation is not Texas and OU being really good on the way out.
But here's the good news for him. One of the teams that's on the way in is the most talked about thing in the whole country right now.
Yes. I know we're going to talk about
We'll talk to him next.
Talk about that in a few minutes.
So
panic button, man. So I can only here's what I experience in a vacuum with the Baylor people in the family that I've married into.
Yeah.
the panic button has long since been released. It's just a resignation. It's the give up button. They're just.
Well, Chris,
they're just kind of hopeless.
Garrett and I talked about this on the post-game show the other day, in that they're in a situation right now where I think they have not gotten out of the talent what they wanted to, clearly, that they evaluated. So they missed on some talent on the roster. That also intersects with a time in which the atmosphere around the stadium and the game is at kind of I wouldn't say an all-time low, because believe me, it's been way lower to the fact that you could, when I first got here, you could decide to go to the game, like the game was kicking off at noon or 11 o'clock. You could leave your house at 10:30, drive right up, park very close, and walk to your seat and get there before the national anthem started.
Yeah.
And that didn't even matter who they were playing. They could have played like Texas and Nebraska. Maybe there's a little traffic because all of their fans were coming in.
Yeah.
But based on that, in the old Big 12 days, it was really bad news for Baylor in the first, 15 years of the Big 12 or so, 12 years of the Big 12. It was maybe 15 years or so.
96 to 11, basically.
Yeah, so 15 years.
2010, if you want to give them 2010,
I guess
Alamo Bowl year.
Yeah. Robert Griffin won the Heisman that year, so I think you got to.
That year before. They made it to a bowl that year before,
yeah,
right?
the Texas Bowl.
Texas
Bowl year. Yeah, so.
I think largely, and I could be wrong, I can't speak for the entire class of Baylor fan. I think there's a real resignation that it's just going to be a long season. I think the idea is they can't turn it around. I don't know if that's true. Now there's a more concentrated panic button on a fear of what Texas might do to them Saturday.
Yeah.
Which based on what Texas did, may not be inevitable either.
Well, look, Texas turned it on in the fourth quarter, but I do think that I saw Steve Sarkisian in his press conference today about this is their last Big 12 opener here against Baylor. It's the last one. And so it's the last time. And I'll say this. I don't think it may necessarily be ever, but it's the last time for the foreseeable future that the Texas Longhorns will be wearing shoulder pads at McLean Stadium.
Yeah.
Like there's not a reason for that to be revived from Texas' standpoint at all.
Not from Texas' standpoint.
Not from Texas' standpoint at all. So if you were playing a team in Baylor that was playing confident and deep and talented, would be a lot scarier than it is right now,
right,
where you have the potential to maybe flip the stadium like you did in the old days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mac Brown one time on the post-game call-in show the week before they played Baylor said, well, I can't wait for our fans that don't get a chance to see us in Austin to come see us in Waco. He even said it's a cheaper ticket, easier, less traffic. Like, made the pitch for him to, like, look, if you live in Dallas and don't want to drive the 4 hours, you can drive less than half that way, pay less for parking, get a ticket the day of the game maybe.
Yeah.
And
that still exists. I got hit up yesterday by somebody in Austin.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, can you get me tickets to Texas Baylor? And I was like, no.
Was it Andrew Baker?
No.
Oh, because he hit me up yesterday.
I was about to say, I know you probably got hit up.
Yeah, I got hit up.
Andrew's got more money than both of us. Buy your own ticket, dummy.
So, yeah. So anyway, I think he thought we still got free ones. And I was like, no, we don't. No. But another team, I think, pressing the panic button because they've got similar problems to to Alabama is Oklahoma State. And they've got 3 quarterbacks, but they don't have one. And they got absolutely walloped. And we're getting shut out for 3 quarters against South Alabama.
Yeah. If you have, is there an old adage that am missing or forgotten that if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have one?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
actually if you've got one, you've got one. If you got 2, you got none.
You got none. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't know best how to describe them. Listless is not necessarily a term. Baylor looked listless. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State looks maybe listless. I don't even really know the word.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they're also kind of a ship without a rudder.
Yeah.
You don't look at it and think this is how good this team can be. You just are kind of like.
Well, they were one of the teams that, as a matter of fact, they got 1 vote to win the Big 12 in the preseason poll. And Ari, the guy who voted for him, works at the Big 12 Network, said, I picked them because this is a conference that every year there's somebody coming out of nowhere, and this is the most coming out of nowhere thing you could think of. And Mike Gundy is the come out of nowhere guy.
Yeah.
So, but right now, based on, and look, South Alabama's, they're not slouches as you would think. They've been building that program for a little while.
Oh, they're good Sun Belt, right?
Yeah,
they're good Sun Belt team.
Sun Belt team. But you should not at home lose by 26 to a Sun Belt team.
No,
I'm sorry, that should not happen, and not be in the game at any point.
Yeah, that's the not discouraging because I don't care either way. That's should be the panic button part. Is that it wasn't even like a Baylor game where you were up 16-7 on Long Island at the half, and you're like, we should be winning more. You're like, man, we're kind of getting boat raced.
Yeah.
In our own house by a Sun Belt school.
Yeah.
So what's the two, if you had to weigh them, Baylor's got the Liberty loss from 2017, 18, 17, and then the Texas State loss. Oklahoma State's now got the South Alabama and the Central Michigan loss. Which of those two sting worse?
Cooper Rush was the quarterback.
Rush, everybody's
Central
favorite
Michigan
quarterback.
Then I would think that Liberty loss was here's the thing. I think Texas State might be worse than all of them just because Baylor had expectations. And in 2017, Liberty was bad. That was a bad loss. But nobody that was like, there were fans that were like, oh, well, we've got a good coach. He can, you know, this coach can come in and he's got a bunch of good players and they'll do that. I don't think they understood what was really going on until that moment when they lost to Liberty and they lost to UTSA that year. Like, I don't think until those things happened, they understood like, no. Like those players you think you had, they're gone. Yeah. And the ones that are here are not in a good mood. Yeah. And so it's
not in a good mood.
It's not what you think.
That was probably some all-time panic button stuff after those two losses that first year that Coach Rule was here.
So, but I do, like, I think in varying degrees. Like, Mike Gundy is never going to be in trouble unless he wants to be, right? I mean, because he's got a lifetime contract at Oklahoma State. Nick Saban's not in trouble, although expectations from the fans have taken a severe hit in that now, you know, they're looking at probably a 9-3 season at best. And that's if they get their quarterback right. And if they don't, like, their schedule's still a gauntlet. Yeah. They're probably not playing for the SEC title. As where Baylor, there's some real consequences on the coaching staff if they don't get things right in a hurry. Yeah. Because Baylor can't sit around and wait very long, you know, to do this. And Dave Aranda has already changed coordinators a couple times. Yeah. You know, one has worked, Jeff Grimes worked out for the better for a little while. Now he's changed the defensive coordinator. Like, you're in that mode of, like, you change coordinators, well, then that is what's gonna be the difference there is. I don't think that is imminent right now, but those things can change so rapidly, and, you know, a few bad losses more in a row, and you're like, well, you know, what's going to happen? Yeah. So I think that's the biggest panic button, maybe in the Power Five right now, in that you've got so many other factors of you may not even get close to any of the goals that you set for yourself this year to get back and contend for the Big 12 title. And there might be some coaching staff changes in that too.
Yeah. Because the grace period has run out.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it was, but it certainly does feel like it's either get it way back right this season or you don't get another shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When we come back, Deion Sanders is 3-0. Look, his world's about to
get right out of town.
You hadn't heard. His world's about to change in that the teams he's playing are better than the teams he's beaten.
Fair.
That does not take away from anything that he's done. But
it's a good way to put that.
I do see, like, there is this interesting resistance in the college football world to just enjoy it. And appreciate the uniqueness that it is, because there's a fear of he's changing everything. I mean, like,
okay, so I want to dig deeper into that when we come back, because as a person who's embraced it, I want to know specifically who's pushing against it.
Yeah. So, Yeah, we'll talk about that because there are some people pushing against it.
Okay.
And there's some that'll never like come out and say everything, but you can tell what they're meaning.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Because people are afraid of change, and he is an absolute agent of change.
Sure.
And possibly chaos.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So we'll talk about that when we come back. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.